Early last year, I decided to try 100 days on a raw plant-based diet. I know it sounds absolutely crazy, and to me it was, but the reason I tried it was due to health reasons. Over the years, I've had a few health issues, including digestive issues, chronic pain, and fatigue. And I was willing to try absolutely anything to recover from it. So one thing I tried was changing my diet, which was pretty difficult, but the more I did it, the easier it got. But the theory behind it is the more fruits and vegetables and the cleaner you eat, the nutrients heal your digestive tract and clears out your lymphatic system, which covers your entire body. And subsequently, it's supposed to help reduce your symptoms. So in this video, I'm going to tell you a bit more about it, and at the end I'll tell you the results of whether it actually made any difference to me whatsoever. So let's start with what I ate. So in terms of the food that I ate, I just ate a bunch of fruit and vegetables all day, every day, and even herbs as well. Anything that was raw, anything that was from nature and was plant-based, because it's full of all the nutrients that our body needs. So I would have tons and tons of different types of smoothies. I'd buy a lot of frozen fruit, use my Vitamix blender to mix it all up and drink it for breakfast, sometimes lunch, and then in the evenings I tended to have a really big salad, because when it comes to fruits and vegetables, the caloric amount is very little, so you have to eat a lot more of it, especially when it comes to vegetables. I didn't mind it too much because fruit tastes amazing and I enjoy sweet foods. Salads I struggled a little bit, so I had to try and make my own like raw salad dressings just to give it some flavor, which included things like lemon juice and maple syrup and different types of herbs and spices. And when it came to the smoothies, the options are endless. I used pineapples, passion fruits, bananas, a hell of a lot of bananas. I even once did 7 days of only eating bananas and lettuce, and it went easier than I expected. Lots of different berries, and I guess I was introduced to new types of fruits that I hadn't eaten before. It's one that tastes like chocolate pudding. I'll put it up on the screen, but I've forgotten the name at the moment. So these are some of the challenges that I faced during those 100 days. Luckily, I started it during summer, so it was easy to have cold food. As soon as it was approaching the colder months of autumn, then it got really difficult because I was just always cold all the time and I needed herbal teas to warm me up throughout the day. The other thing is that you have to eat frequently, like every 1.5 to 2 hours, because you just get really hungry. Like the caloric amount is so low that you're just constantly eating, and eventually it can get really exhausting just having to chew. Like your jaw starts to hurt after a few days or a few weeks. It just gets a bit tiring. It gets really tiring to eat. And it was especially challenging when you're wanting to go out somewhere. You'd have to pre-prepare your meals. So I just took smoothies with me, kept it in a little freezer box, and then had it whenever I went to even visit a friend or when I was out for like a few hours. I could have bought some from shops, but I just wanted to keep it as clean as possible, knowing every single ingredient that went into it. Another thing I found was I ended up going to the loo so much. Like for a number one, probably like 10 times a day. For a number two, maybe 3 or 4 times a day. So that got a bit ridiculous and a bit annoying, but I just did what I had to do. It was challenging not to eat out while seeing others enjoying their food at restaurants and cafes, especially in a beautiful country like Australia. In Sydney, the food is amazing. So I just had to try my best to resist the temptation, the smells of food, and just fill myself up as much as possible so I just wasn't hungry anymore. When it comes down to my health, the observations I noticed, my skin seemed to have cleared up very quickly. I was quite surprised. I had a few blemishes and a little bit of acne here or there, but it completely went away the cleaner I ate. I had a lot more energy because I was having so much natural sugars. I felt a lot more energized than usual. I was still going through my fatigue symptoms and my exhaustion, but there was a little spark in me when eating such a clean raw diet. Also, my digestion had improved. I was quite surprised. In terms of my symptoms, it reduced a little bit and it gave me some hope, so that's why I continued. But when it got to the halfway mark, around the 50 days, that's when things didn't go so well. I found everything to be more stagnant. In terms of my symptoms, it just stayed the same. My digestion was a bit more volatile. I started to revert back to how I felt before I started the diet in terms of my symptoms, my chronic pain and some fatigue. But because I'm very militant, I carried on and I just wanted to get to the end and give this a proper go to see what the end result would be. And one obvious thing which I should mention, which I almost completely forgot, was a rapid weight loss. So I'm 5'8". Currently I weigh 66 kilos, and with the raw diet I probably dropped all the way to 54, I believe, which is extremely underweight for my height. And it was getting pretty concerning because I didn't look very healthy. I was extremely skinny. My clothing size went from small to even extra small. I had to buy a couple of new clothes because everything was a bit too baggy for me. Yeah, it was a strange experience. I must state that before I started the raw food diet, I had been trialing a very clean plant-based diet for 4 years prior to that. So I'd lost weight during that time as well. And then I just ended up losing even more during this raw food diet. And I think a lot of my friends and family were getting really concerned. And I don't blame them because I didn't really look that healthy. And you can tell by looking at my older videos that I posted on this channel like over a year and a half ago, which is around the time when I started YouTube. So in terms of the result, I was pretty disappointed. Although initially I felt some improvement with my symptoms, later it just reverted back to the same and everything just felt stagnant for most of that journey, most of those 100 days. But I was just hoping that there would be change, but it didn't happen. I'm really glad that I gave it a go. I'm glad that I challenged myself to be able to eat fully raw for 100 days, and I've done it once in my life. But one thing's for sure, I won't be doing it long term ever again, especially because it just looked like I was deteriorating. I was getting really skinny and I just looked really unhealthy. I think if I were to eat raw again, I'd probably only do it for a day, just for the nutrient intake for long-term health. But I definitely don't want to do it again. I mean, it's easier in a warmer climate country like Australia, but if I was in the UK, I don't think I'd be able to cope with 5 days on a raw food diet. I think there is a time and a place for people to eat more raw foods because it just enriches your body with tons and tons of nutrients. Some nutrients that your body might be lacking. It's a great thing to do short term, but never to do long term. But I do know there's people out there who do it long term and they're thriving. So I guess it's just based on the individual. But for me personally, I won't be trying it again. And it was a very interesting experience for me. I'd love to hear your experience if anyone else has tried raw food diets or considering trying it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments and I'll do my best to answer it. Hopefully you found this video somewhat interesting and maybe I'll see you in another video.